if you were in those times, what would you have used? In this time, He only needs you to open up your mouth and pour out your heart to Him. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou is Lord. Every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Every knee shall bow, No yini doba kruma se obiara obejinu edino when he ran away senyo nyakupondo yasini so even as we are singing, please take out your offerings. Ushers, please come. Hallelujah. Kase unyamiye. Ya dunyamiye. Oye o. Kase unyamiye. Mekampo adonyami waye mi adonkesi obata yeyi beyi mekampo adonyami waye mi adonkesi obata yeyi nyami obata Domini wana chapinge wahe akeke wo Ike domini wana chapinge wahe akeke wo Ike domini wana chapinge wahe akeke wo Ike domini wana chapinge wae akeke woku akeke woku domini wana chapinge wae akeke woku domini wana akeke woku domini wana
Hallelujah. APOSA. It is always a blessing to be in the house of the Lord, isn't it? Amen. We do have the Spirit of God in us, aren't? Do we not? And aren't we the children of God? And one attribute of children of God is that they heed to the instruction of authority, isn't it? This evening, I'm the master of ceremonies, and this evening, I'm steering the boat. Hallelujah. I want to kindly and humbly request every child of God who is in this place, if there is a seat or 2 seats or 3 seats ahead of you, which is empty, just kindly in the second, third row up until the last row is completely filled. So kindly move forward. I'll give the next 30 seconds. Bless you even as you do so. Hallelujah. We want to move straight to our presentation to center on the job market. Amen. And I want to assure you that we have very able and seasoned resource persons in the house. I'm very excited to introduce the very first one of them. He is an international agro-industry and value chain development expert. He has over 20 years in Challenge Corporation. He currently has a greenhouse. Another thing I want us to take note of is this. This man has 3 P. Give you just, and you register a Master of Business Administration from the at the Asylum Down Assembly, Mount Zion Center of Excellence. We are talking about than the husband of Deacon Laws.
APOSA. Hello. I'm happy to see young people, in fact, a lot of young people in this room. Anytime I see young people, I get excited because that is the future of Africa. You can talk about gold, oil, diamonds, bauxite. They won't mean anything. Show a slide, I will let them show the slide. But how many of you are already entrepreneurs in this room? Can you raise your hand if you are? Okay. How many of you want to be entrepreneurs? It is easy to be. It is one of the most difficult things to be. So if you want to get into entrepreneurship, you must have full understanding of what entrepreneurship is. Fortunately, I'm not going to Google to go and give you definition of who an entrepreneur is. But if I tell you a story, you know who an entrepreneur is. When they were introducing me, you were all happy. Were you not happy? Okay. And I started coming to camp meeting like the way you are coming to camp meeting as far back as 1986. So my bones are grown. It's the body that looks. So when I finished school and I started my national service, I didn't joke. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it is not the thing like you dress very well and you are working in town. Or you are always busy on your phone that makes you an entrepreneur. Your ability to dirty your hands. The things that people don't want to do are the things that will make you an entrepreneur. If everybody is going on the left direction and you join the masses to the left, you will never single yourself out. When your people are going to the left, you look at the opportunities in the right. You exploit that opportunity and you move it to them on the left, and they will make you a rich man. So you finish school and you'll be looking for a job. I know there will be a session on the job market, but let me tell you, in Africa, Africa has the youngest population in the world. Whether you take the US, China, Korea, Brazil, wherever you go to in the world, Africa has the youngest population. About 420 million people in Africa are under the age of 35. And in every year, between 10 and 12 million people come out onto the job market. Every year in Africa, 10 to 12 million people, they enter the job market. And 1/3 cannot even find job. Or a maximum of 1/3 are able to secure a job. Ghana's situation is different in the sense that we have about 250,000 people that enter the job market every year. 2% are able to find formal job. 98% go into the informal job or find no job. Hello? Job market. The good news is that you will not add to the statistics of unemployed people, but you will rather add to the statistics of young entrepreneurs in Ghana. You don't like it? You don't like it? You are not going to join any association called Graduate Unemployment Association in Ghana. We cancel that in Jesus' name. Of you need commitment, because the journey is never smooth. When the journey becomes smooth, you see a lot of people on that road, and that is where buy and sell is very common. And that is why everybody wants to put some kiosk or container somewhere and begin to sell provisions. Because the journey to that is not difficult. But when you have people who are sitting somewhere and trying to think of how you can use your mobile phone to move money from one person to the other, it is not an easy journey. And these are innovators and entrepreneurs, and you will be one of those people in the near future. So you can have all points in your, and the pilot comes and announces that he's a pilot and he had 80. 80 is A, right? 80. He did taking off. He did well in being in the air. But the 20 that he did not pass was when he is landing. Will you board the flight or you will not? Good. It's the same way you go to a hospital and they bring a doctor to you. And the doctor says, as for your problem, there has to be surgery. And I am the surgeon. I know how to cut. I know how to remove, but I don't know how to stitch when I'm done with the surgery. So if I'm talking about you being competent, I'm not talking about a half-baked skills that you will take to the job place. Or you want to be an entrepreneur and you have half-baked skills for what you are doing. Or you want to be an entrepreneur and your knowledge in the industry is half-baked. You can't succeed. There is some 20% failure element somewhere. And that 20% failure element can bring you down. Hello? Leadership is important in entrepreneurship. And I will want to give you the 5 P's of a good entrepreneur. The 5 P's. First is to perceive. The first P is to perceive. You perceive, you pursue. The third P is to possess. Perform. And when you have performed, you go to your last P, which is to profit. So if you want to profit as an entrepreneur, you must first perceive. You must have the ability to perceive and know where the opportunities are. When you have identified the opportunities, you should have the courage to pursue the opportunities. And when you have pursued the opportunity, you should gather the courage to possess the opportunity. And there are people who possess, but they don't perform. They will look for something, and once they get those things, they just hold on to them as trophies, and they are unable to perform. If you are an entrepreneur, you possess, you perform. And when you perform, you get your profits. Again, for me, what I hate in my life is mediocrity. When you accept average all the time, it becomes your standard and becomes business as usual. So there's nothing like mediocrity in my life. You can't come to my workplace or work with me and you can present anything and it is accepted. No way. And that is why we are able to work with serious international organizations. Every report we make for United Nations, they publish it. Every report we do for German government, they publish it. Every report we do for African Union, they publish it. So you Google us and you will see a number of publications that international organizations have done for the reports that we have submitted to them. There is nothing like mediocrity. And I always expect that that same attitude will be our lifestyle and it will be in the way we do things of God. We can't do things anyhow. And as an entrepreneur, you can't do things anyhow. You have to excel in the things that you do because your results of today is going to open the door for you tomorrow. And that is what people don't know. When they get money and they have to do things, they do it anyhow. And then they struggle to get the next contract. But for us, once we get first contracts, we use the results of the first contract, the second contract follows, the third contract follows, and every time we have contracts, we never lack contracts. Because we work for perfection and excellence. As a young guy, let me advise you, never do things in a mediocre way. If you are not careful, it will be your habits. And especially as Christians, we like this statement of fanesa. There's nothing like fanesa. There should be value for money. Value for money. Before I will spend money to buy this, I will have to know the benefits that I will get. It's not like, and especially our Christian brothers, the fanesa is very common with our Christian brothers and sisters. And Jesus Christ was not a mediocre man. So don't let us hide behind Christianity and present things anyhow and expect that we should take them like that. It doesn't work that way. Sharpen your skills, sharpen your mindset, sharpen the way you do things, and it will make you succeed when you get onto the job market. Hello? Are you with me? Now, if you are also a Christian, you can never take God out of your entrepreneurship. And I like it so much. And the problem I normally encounter is when there are no projects at church for me to invest, my business begins to come down. But anytime there is a project and I have to invest in the work of God, my business pick up. So I don't take the work of God for granted. And those who are closer to me will attest to it. So every time my wish is that church has to be busy with activities, because that is where God opens door for me to get resources. And I have that belief that whatever God has said in the book is true. So if I give, it will come back to me. And the good thing is that when it's coming back, it's raised to powers. If you are unable to, you see, there are people who give to God what they have and when they have. There are people who give to God when they don't have. That is sacrifice and commitment. If you have a lot and, oh, now I have, so let me find something for God. But even when you don't have, you purpose in your heart and have a covenant with God, He opens the door for you. And I will share a testimony with you. Some few months ago, I chanced on something and I'll come to it. And I told God that it is not an issue of if. That God, if I get this, I will do that. I told God that, let me get it and I'll do it. And it was very surprising. Last month I was in Spain with some board members of the organization, and people come to me and ask me, Dan, who are you? And I never forget when they asked me, and that was the first time I forget who I am. I forgot it. 7. Then when he got there, I got the answer for him. I said, I'm serving the Apostolic Church God. And funny enough, the man said, so it's not the obinim or those kind of things that I said, Then I said, do you know Tete Apostle? And this man is a chief. He said, yes, I know. I said, is that God I'm serving? But when I traveled with them to Spain, they came to my room and sat with me till 1:30 a.m., still trying to know how they missed a contract and I got it. And according to them, it was something that had been worked out. And surprisingly, I did not know anybody along the chain, but I got it. And the reverend in it kept talking, and I said, look, Reverend, I will share a testimony with you. Whilst you people were busy scheming and planning, I was busy dealing with my God. And then he sat well. I said, yes. And there's a message that God gave to me when we were going through this contract. And it was very clear, and I remember. He said, my favor will take you, and my wisdom will speak for you. It's a statement I never forget, and I will never forget in my life. My favor will take you, and my wisdom will speak for you. And when I said that, the Reverend said, let us pray. And we prayed. And he told me that he admires my faith. I said, I don't have problem. I'm not deficient in faith. Ever since I was born, I have never been deficient in faith. If I believe, but you can never take God out of your equation. And you must make sure that when God does it, project him in the process, because we are human, in the process, things became very tough. And people were like, oh, you should call this minister, you should call that person. So they were running through my mind. And I can testify to you that any time those things come to my mind, the contracting process stalls. It doesn't move. But the moment I come back to my faith and I tell myself that God will do it, we move 10 stations. The moments. There are certain moments they will come to you once in your lifetime. And they won't come again. Seize the moments. I shared with my people in a time, my business book is the Bible. Any business principle you have from Harvard, you will find it in the Bible. And a better version in the Bible. So me, the Bible is my business book. When you are reading it, the second person who sees the moment is Rahab. They sent spies to Jericho. She hosted them. When the people were going, he said, your presence alone has put fear into the people. And then that project was just a phone call. Somebody called me and asked for information. And the moment I got that, it translated into a 20 million CD project. Seize the moment. Seize the moment. The second speaker will also be coming, so I'll be winding up. The last thing I will tell you is that every auditorium, as you see here, has a small. The entrance to an auditorium is never bigger than the auditorium itself. True or false? Now, until you enter, when you are outside, do you see the beauty of this auditorium? No. Now, the entrance or door to an opportunity is always small. So watch out. You will not see the opportunity can open. Some people
give people some hope. Speak to people. You have to be able to manage performance, build trust, and then you have to be able to make decisions accurately. You need to be able to judge situations effectively. These things we are talking about, most of them you don't learn in school. So how do you end up getting it? From engagements like this. From being told, from being mentored, from being coached. So let me share with you the 5 approaches, and then I can take my seat and we can take some questions if you have questions for us. The first one is that you need to look the role. Whichever environment you want to work with or whatever job you want to do, you need to be able to look the role. And some of the things you need to do is to be groomed properly. You need to check your personal hygiene and body care. That's me. Another time, depending on the environment, I can tell you my name is Senyo. I'm a peacemaker. When people fight, I take care of them. That is my profession. When employers and employees fight, and they go to the National Labor Commission and they are looking for mediators and arbitrators to help them resolve their disputes, some of us are listed on the list of mediators, and they pick, and then we take care of the dispute and settle it amicably, so that the environment will be, the work environment will be peaceful. Okay, so you need to have your own personal value proposition. Who are you? What do you do? Apart from your name, what else can you tell a person who would take interest in you? I take care of people. because I'm in human resources. Immediately, if that person has any human resources or any people management problems, he thinks he's met somebody he can talk to. He starts sharing issues with you. And before you know, you are getting a 20 million Ghana cedi or dollar contract. So who are you? How do you introduce yourself? Don't take a selfie. Don't take a selfie. That is not the first thing you should do. You need to know yourself. Job candidate viability. What is your CV? Curriculum vitae. Do you know it from the top of your head? Do you have it at all? Do you know what is supposed to go in there? If you want more information on CVs and stuff, you can get my book, and you can have some of those things inside. But what is your educational background, your professional career path, your dreams and aspirations, your hobbies? It will surprise you to know that sometimes just telling people what you do, like your hobby, will end up getting you a job. The CEOs in the country now, most of them are middle-aged. Between 40 and 50, let's say between 35 and 50. And most of them watch football in pubs. So if you like football and you watch football, you may be having or spending time in a pub with maybe the MD of Calbank. And those people, before you see them in a particular day, you may have to book an appointment and wait hours on end to see them. But in the pub, there they are. Or in church. Or in church. Elder Kwe is a big man, international consultant. He's in church. I wonder how many of the youth in his church have gotten closer to him, to understanding him, to ask him to mentor them, etc., etc. The third one is that you need to know your staff. This is where it matters. The chew and pour will not help. You really need to know things. So when you study in school, you need to be sure that you understand and know how to apply the knowledge that you are getting. Because out there, you will need it. Know your staff, your technical knowledge. If you say you are an engineer, you need to know your staff. And you need core skills these days, soft skills these days. How do you interact with people? Do you have presentation skills? How do you manage your anger? How do you manage your emotions? How do you work in a team? All of those things are important. Practical, professional, and social skill sets. These things are what will get you a job in the job market. Personal competencies and abilities. I always ask this question. Former president, ex-president, who we lost, President Mills, God bless his soul. When he collapsed and he was in the ambulance being chauffeured to 37, which doctor do you think they would call to attend to the president and save his life? Because there will be several, maybe close to 100 or more doctors in 37. Which one would they call to attend to the president? The one that everybody has trust in and believes that they have the ability to be able to save the president. Will that be you? Would that be you in your profession? When they are counting the top 5 or 10 serious professionals in the area of expertise that you decide to study in or specialize in, would your name be there? Excellence. Excellence. So you have to make use of other wow factors about yourself. That is your strength. That would make you different from another person. It is these things that get you jobs in the workplace. You need to know the organizations you want to work with. You need to know what they do. You need to know where they get their money from. You need to know how the business runs, etc., etc. Who are their competitors? Which ongoing projects they are doing? their unique attributes and strengths, and also their weaknesses. I have a friend who walked into an interview with a CEO, and then just at the end of the interview told the CEO that, oh, in fact, I read somewhere that you have this problem. That problem is solvable. Give him a solution, and the next Monday he was working with the company. So if you can diagnose organizational problems, you definitely would hop onto the team easily. The last one is interest in the job and when they find opportunity, send your CV to this person. Those opportunities, career toolkit, it has all.
Thank you very much. Very powerful and succinct.
Thank you very much. I think I've been given a lot of insight today, thanks to the two going to
With passion.
And we start
The time you want to start, cannot give you 100,000 kindness if you give you the money. They can ability to pay. That is, you can also sell your business itself. Support me. The time when at one line.
Please come forward if you.
the second in Ghana we have a retirement
14 days and not for the rest of his life, because the person is not an employee.
initially I was convinced that job market